Sorry, thank you.
I'm clicking go live, but don't worry. If you're fiddling around with stuff, I'll keep people busy.
No, I'm on your page right now, so I'm just waiting for that link to pop, and then I'll share it.
Okay, and I'm gonna go make sure it's public.
I like your profile picture. It's all fast.
Hi everybody, it's me, in case you're here. A lot of my fans don't come in until later on in the day, so don't let that throw you, Michael.
Mine will pop right in there. They ain't doing nothing. They're all sitting at home on their butts.
Awesome.
Oh, I found your link. All right, here we go. Oh, that's so cool. Gosh, I am not in technology.
It's like we're on the Jimmy Kimmel show right now.
What is the name of your show?
The Comic Spot. COMICS''Spot. And it's on my Facebook Live. You're my 605th interview.
Oh, goodness gracious. That is fantastic.
My favorite interview was Sinbad.
I love him in that movie that I saw that he says he never did. Shazam. Did you get around to talking about that? There's what's it called? A what is it? Mandela effect. And half the world, millions of people remember him being in a movie called Shazam, where he was a genie, including myself. And he says it never happened. That movie was never made. Like it was never talked about. The movie never existed, but millions of people remember this movie.
That's so bizarre. What's up with that?
It's one of the coolest things. I probably talk about it once a week.
Wow.
Okay, I got you shared.
That's what I should have asked them about.
Honey, share my live.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to read the introduction for Michael Boris, our guest today on Comic Spot. He's sitting over there with all kinds of pictures and frames, and I have to have them all explained, but that's in a few minutes. For right now, the man who is so handsomely groomed and patiently waiting is going to hear his very own introduction. You get to watch him live. Okay. Michael Boris, I'm the first cannabis education show syndicated on FM TV.
Radio.
What?
Radio.
Radio. FM radio. Of course it's radio. That was my era. Hosted more cannabis events around the world than anyone. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. HempCon LV, HempFest Boston, Freedom Rally, etc. He says, I'm headlining stand-up comedian, award-winning short filmmaker. I'm left out A. I'm a headlining stand-up comedian, award-winning short filmmaker. Wow. I own a publicly traded CB drink company. Oh my gosh. I have a comic book series that's being animated by Martin Archer of Rock and Morty. Wow. I star in Highly Ghosted, a marijuana-themed ghost hunter show. OMG. I write for the Candid Chronicle newspaper in South Dakota.
San Diego.
San Diego. Why would I think San Diego?
I would have used better punctuation. That's my fault.
I will be the commentator for Full Throttle Boxing. Full Throttle Boxing. Now we're talking. My dad was a boxing promoter. And he will be the commentator for Full Throttle Boxing with Tyson and Snoop Dogg. I own a wrestling sesh themed pro wrestling company. And
Sweet
some
wrestling.
other stuff. LOL. Let's get into it. Let's just jump right in. Here's Michael Boris. Yay.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here. I wish I would have used punctuation and all kinds of spelling things and when I wrote that to you.
That's okay. People are very used to me botching up the introduction.
Yeah, that's
I
okay.
thought I'm trying. Yes. I love Snoop Dogg. I'm from Portland, Oregon. Snoop Dogg's cousin owns a barbecue place in Portland. And so Snoop comes to Portland all the time. And my dad was a boxing promoter in the 60s up in the hood area of Portland. So I have a couple connections with you.
Oh no, that's fantastic. I've done a few shows with Snoop. I haven't got to sit down and chalk it up with him yet. But Full Throttle Boxing is they've recently taken Tyson like out of retirement, and he got to do the big boxing event, and they had all these weird rules. If anybody bleeds, the fight's over and stuff. So they've created it where it's more standardized rules for boxing, and it'll be Mike Tyson is going to be boxing as well, but he'll also be one of the commentators along with Snoop Dogg and myself, which gives you the play-by-play as the match is going on. And it's going to be a lot of retired boxers, so like legends matches that are coming up. I'm excited to work with it. It's just getting the ball rolling now.
I can't wait to see it. When's that going to be?
Oh, I don't know. I just signed my contract last week. So it's supposed to be like a touring event. So you'll see it'll be at different spots, bi-monthly, I believe, year round. And I don't expect it to start till 2021's COVID era is kind of pushed away a little.
Absolutely.
The biggest challenge right now with entertainment is, when you work in this industry, everybody's out because you have to crowd these people in, and nobody wants to get sick and, have to deal with the COVID.
People are such wusses, aren't they?
Oh yeah, what's a little death?
It's a little sick.
You only live once.
I know. I just don't understand how people can be so afraid.
Well, it's a lot in the mindset, because even after the COVID crisis is over, you're still going to have people that have that mentality now, or especially the younger generation that has only kind of known this as an adult. Like if you graduated this year and turned 18, this was the year you were supposed to go out and become, a successful man or woman. And now they're just so used to stay in the house, do everything on the computer, that even going out is just, you're going to have this mind frame that I don't want to be near people. I don't want to touch people. You look at these old videos of crowds, like the Boston Freedom Rally crowd, 180,000 people. I wouldn't be caught dead there now.
No, I totally get it. I'm just being sarcastic.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
So you've done a lot of things in your life, but the real question is, how did you get to be so lazy?
Oh, it took a lot of hard work and bad parenting. I started out in entertainment as a psychic for Caesar's Palace in Mandalay Bay, and I would go on stage and read the audience. And I was 5th generation reader. Everything's awesome. I believe 100%. I have a parapsychology degree, but it was depressing to me. It was a lot of making people cry in public. Like a comic, you make them laugh. That's where your point is. But with being an intuitive reader, you want their emotions to come out. So I decided to switch over to comedy. I went to Joe Charles Comedy School and honed my craft over the last 10, 12 years. And, it was really hard at first, and I wasn't great. Everyone's got to get up there and, eat a blank, as they say, just till you learn what works and what doesn't work. And then I got bored with just doing comedy shows. I coined myself Medicinal Mike because I hosted the Nug Life radio show, which was the first syndicated cannabis education show on FM radio with Benji Cooper and Dr. Wayne Kelly. And it was a lot like Love Lines, where callers would call in and we'd get a lot of funny stuff, but we'd also get people dealing with cancer and issues that are real serious, and they needed advice on cannabinoids or CBD treatments or what works best for them. And we did that for about 10 years. And once the COVID and everything started coming around, we've kind of pushed off of that. And I've been working on a film, and it's a comic book. It's also a film series. I just won the LA, I want to say Man Power, I don't know what it was called, comedy short film festival, whatever. So I won the best short for my Patience Hempy Holidays comedy short film. And that was awesome.
Yeah.
And now I'm working with some of the guys from Rick and Morty, Martin Archer in the lead, and he also did Simpsons, Rugrats, and many other nostalgic cartoons. and we are animating it.
And what did you say?
We are animating it. So we're turning it into a cartoon.
Wow.
That we can all do it from home. We don't have to COVID touch each other anymore.
Oh my gosh. Of all the things that you did from San Diego, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to play around now and say I was trying to say South Dakota and I
South
said San
Dakota.
Diego.
South
How'd you get
Dakota.
this done in South Dakota? But seriously, how did you accomplish all this? What led from one thing to another to just luck?
Never saying no and never turning down opportunity. I'm also a little ADD, so I like to get multiple projects going. You throw it at the wall, you see what sticks. I recently did the Highly Ghosted show, and that's on the Tommy Chong Network with Stoner Rob co-hosted that with me and Zarilla Bacon. And we go into houses and we investigate paranormal activity, but we put CBD in this fog machine to fog out the house and calm the ghost down. And it's a lot of fun. It's serious, but it's very funny as well. Like we're using real equipment and getting real readings, but we're also smoking marijuana the entire time.
No way. So you've heard of Jack Osborne doing the show with the TV channel, and they went to Portland, Oregon, down to the Shanghai tunnels to look at ghosts. Did you hear about that?
Oh yeah, I did. And what a great family to do that. You know, like the Osbournes, that would be, they're probably ghosts in their house. They really don't have to leave the living room.
And in their closets.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a fantastic dude. I crisscrossed with him once. I got to say hello, shake a hand, and kept it moving.
So one of the Shanghai tunnels is down in my favorite comedy club that I was a part of, where I started interviewing people like you at Harvey's in Portland.
Oh, Harvey's. I've heard of Harvey's.
Yeah. Jack Osborne went down in the basement of Harvey's in that show. So that's...
What did he find? Anything interesting?
I don't know, probably unpaid electric bills for all I know.
Right. A bag of weed I dropped down there in '94.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Amityville, Long Island, about 2 blocks from the scary house.
Wait a minute. Is that why you're into this?
No, it's just a weird coincidence.
That's so cool.
You know, the real story on that, and I'll just touch on it quick because you can look it up as a documentary, is my father knew the guy. He did a bunch of acid, killed his whole family, laid him out in the yard in size order, and said the house told me to do it. The next family that moved in, the guy tried to kill his mother-in-law, ended up blowing himself up in the driveway, and just bad luck. But now they've remodeled it. It's a nice old couple, last I checked, living there, and you wouldn't even know the house if you drove past it. They don't want the attention anymore.
Wow.
So hopefully the ghosts took off on that. But I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada. I lived out there for about 30 years. I worked in limousines and psychic shows, and I ran the Psychic Eye bookshops out there. And then I moved to California, to San Diego, and had always wanted to be a comic since I was, in 4th grade. I was done with the reading, so I infiltrated the Comedy Palace, was my home stage, and then the Madhouse Comedy Club is where my heart lives. But they just changed the building. Robert Larravere is the owner there, and best club I think in the world. And I've been over the last, 2 years before COVID, I did Amsterdam, Prague, Jamaica, Hawaii twice, Alaska, I don't know, other countries out there. But I've traveled all over the world hosting cannabis mega events. And to be a mega event is, 20,000 people or more. You also have these sessions. Sessions are the small events where there's maybe 200-300 people and it's a smaller area. But the mega events is what I was known for. And I've been everywhere. I've hosted close to 1,000 of them. And I have the most clocked events hosted than anybody outside different brands. So that's not the guy that's hosting a show every single day for the same guy forever. But in my head, there's only 3 hosts, that do the cannabis hosting. Because when it was illegal, it was very contradictory. You get up there, you might end up going to jail, to earn what isn't a lot of money. But there was myself, Stoner Rob, and a Jeff Peterson, who I don't get along with. And Adam Ill, you give him his credit, but that's the 4 that started it. And then everybody after, in my opinion, just, they're not there's no base skill there. They're just getting up there and acting a fool. But to get a good comedian or somebody who's quick, with the thought, and you're throwing out hundreds of thousands of dollars in cannabis and wax and smoking 20-pound joints on this big spectacle. It's like living in a cartoon. But it was a lot of work. Yeah, because you got to plan it. You have the stage, and you're running the band times, and you still have to look like you're having fun after 8 hours up there. But we're not.
You know what I found with all, and I know Jeffrey Peterson here in Vegas, and so
I gave him his credit. I gave him his credit. That's all I got to do for him. He's a ball.
So when I just want to let you probably know, because you're a psychic. What did you say you were?
I was a psychic reader for probably about 10 years. I was in the Las Vegas Review Journal, top 10 reader in Vegas. It was going to be my career. I worked with Area 51 Entertainment, which is a big, booking company out there.
That's huge.
It's much better now. I think I like the comedy much more.
Yeah. Well, my comedy has made people cry.
Oh, well, be a psychic. You might make people laugh.
I'm the dyslexic of entertainment.
Oh, no.
So when you do your cannabis mega shows, are you doing it because it's fun and a lot of people like to go, or is there a passion about the need for cannabis in your life?
Well, it started out as all fun and games. We were doing just getting comedians stoned, and playing games with them. It was called Medi World. It's still on YouTube. You can see it. There's a couple out there. We had some really great people. And then I had met a woman named Adela Falk, and she came up to me and she said, she was a huge activist. And she said, you have 5.3 million listeners on this radio. She goes, what are you teaching them? And I thought about it, and I was like, nothing. I used to tell them, if you learn something from me, it was by mistake, strictly coincidence. But after that, we reformatted the show, and we put Dr. Wayne in there, who had passed away recently, rest in peace. But he worked with us, and with Envisage Radio, which is Russ and Rich Motla. They helped sharpen us into an actual quality education show where we had a nice balance of comedy and education. Nowadays, with recreational passing, I feel like the education part is not really on the front of people's minds anymore, unless they're dealing with somebody who's fighting cancer, Parkinson's, or something in their home. And in that, what you need to think is the person that is dealing with these issues, you might not know them yet. So it could help to educate yourself now so that when you need it, you have it. But nowadays, everybody seems to be focused more on the recreational. The attention's going towards more girls shaking their butts online and Instagram and like, and they're smoking a joint and 5 million, I don't know. I feel like entertainment is coming back over the educational portion. So you kind of got to go with the flow.
That's right. Very
but
smart.
I always teach them. I sneak the education into these shows.
That's the way to do it. Get them high and sneak it in while they're high.
Exactly. And let them lock in there and they'll go home and they'll say cannabigerol and not know what they're talking about, but keep that word.
What's your favorite memory of having done comedy and doing your psychic readings and your cannabis show? Pick a favorite.
I haven't done the psychic stuff in like 20 years, and I hope I do sometimes on stage to be fun, but my favorite, I guess, was hanging out at Jeff Perrone, his house. Jeff Perrone. Dennis Perrone, excuse me. Dennis, he's got Peterson on my brain. Dennis Perrone's house. Dennis Perrone is part of the team that originally wrote the Proposition 215 laws in California to legalize marijuana. And his house is an epicenter for just the most amazing people in the industry, because it's like a bed and breakfast, but they just invite everybody in. So they have like the backyard is a tree house where it's like there's a cabin over here, a cabin over here. And I guess it started out as a gay sex palace, but now it was the epicenter for networking. But there's mirrors on the ceilings from the 70s, and each flower petal is painted, hyper colors. Everybody's on mushrooms there. And it's one of the most fun I ever had. And he passed away, and I got to spend so much time with him before he passed away. And that's probably one of my favorite things. Just you get to meet the most amazing people, and you get to see some of the purest hearts out there, people that are not getting this kind of attention and stuff, but still work every single day just to make this RSO, which is a Rick Simpson oil that helps with dealing with cancer issues. But I know these two wonderful women up north. I call them the canograms, and they just make all this oil, and they have this big photo album. And the front of the album are children that they're helping, and you see their pictures, and they'll tell you the story about them. You sit on the rocking chair and you sit with them. And then the back of the album is the ones that are passed away, have passed. So when you see that back of the album getting thicker than the front of the album, but they get no attention. They make no money from it. And they just do it to bring their hearts out into this world and leave something behind that kind of betters the earth than when they showed up. And that's what I try to do for myself. A lot of these shows, especially if it's the first one in that city and they are trying, they have no budget, nothing. They are just sticking their necks out there. I do the show for free. I have hundreds of free shows just to get out there and be a part of that with them and try and catch them up and educate them to where we are today.
So what group of people have been the most surprising to you while you've been educating and entertaining?
Mexicans. No, I'm just kidding. What group? My wife's Mexican and my dog, so I'm just kidding.
I saw.
Just a picture. Mexican 100.
Gorgeous.
So what was your question?
Is there any certain group or age bracket or ethnicity that has really surprised you by lack of support or or?
Everybody, when you're doing comedy, if they're there to laugh, so everybody seems to be very supportive. It's weird to see how the Trump world is now, the Trump Biden world, how it's so divided, and people that have known each other for 20, 30 years are cutting each other out over political views and that's surprising. But both love comedy, both sides. I've seen them out, all the red hats in the audience and all the blues. So I don't touch on it at all. I'm not a Trump supporter, happily. I don't, but I've lost many friends over dealing with it. I've lost gigs over dealing, and I don't come out public. But it's just destroyed this country right now, in my opinion. And it's going to take forever to bring it back.
Yes. I came up with a nonpartisan.
The main highway, and there's a whole motorcycle gang passing.
I came up with a joke that doesn't upset either side. Do you want to hear it?
Absolutely.
If you like it, I'll give it to you.
And I will steal it.
Okay. I'll give you permission because that's impossible. Okay, so blah, 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 this country's so divided. And then the joke is, what happened to the good old days when Trump was a verb?
Yeah, right. Or a card game.
And we were all just biding our time.
Oh, see, that's good.
You can have it.
Oh, I like that.
But you might not like it really. But if you like it.
I was a Bernie supporter. I'm very into running the country by your heart, instead of by your finances. I'd love to see where that goes. But now, anybody but Trump. And I really don't care who has the office, because I don't feel like it can. And I don't know anything about politics. Let me tell you, I don't know what good he's done. I don't know what bad he's done. If it's not on Comedy Central, I'm clueless to it. I realize everybody's biased in the media, but I just don't like the guy's class. He has no class. And I don't feel like that has any place representing the country, because then they think we're all morons.
The way you feel about politics is the way I feel about politics. And it's also the way I feel about doing interviews. If I really go study you before I meet you, I'm probably too scared to do the interview.
I'm the exact same way. The exact same way. I'll read a paragraph just so I know who I'm talking to, but then I want to have that genuine conversation to bring out, what's going on other than pre-planned questions and stuff to that effect.
Yeah.
Where do
There
you
was,
see yourself in 5 years?
I know it gets intimidating because, comedians who have been in the business for I've only been in it 7 years.
Mm.
Entertainers that have been in it 20, 30, 40 years intimidate me. I'll throw
Oh,
myself,
that shouldn't. They're still telling the same jokes they were from 7 years.
it's
They
like,
just look
like
older.
I feel like the legends don't get the respect that they deserve.
Right. Well, not from the new generation coming up because there's so much media out there and so much input from the internet and everything else flooding in that it takes away what the specialness of rising that ranks used to be, because you had to go to every single town, every single city, bum blank Oklahoma, or I mean, you had to get there or they don't know. We would say if they don't know who you are in Wichita, then it doesn't matter who you are in Los Angeles. But now there's the internet, so you get to watch this person shake her boobs and a cat fall in a fish tank, and life seems to be better. But it's a
Yes.
much softer generation of complainers.
Yeah. When sometimes women will get booked because of their looks. And
Yeah, those, in any of those shows, I'll tell you, those are noob shows. You have those bringer shows that you start out and you have to do them where you bring 5 people, because if you bring 4, they're going to see a great show, but you're not going to be in it. Uh, and you have to get those people there, and people that, have seen your show 100 times because you're just starting out. But those promoters that are booking these little hot girls that with no experience, that they're, waiting for that Me Too movement to show up on them. But just do shows that you enjoy. I love mentoring. I work with a lot of new comics. I love trying to get people out there. It's the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. It's reinvented myself 100% since I started comedy. But you have to do it. And there's a lot of ugly to it, and you don't have to deal with the ugly these days. So, if your promoter's grabbing your butt, you don't have to do that show. Be loud about it and walk away and set an example.
yes,
Unless it's
absolutely.
me, don't do that for me. Uh,
I've
Soft motion
exercised for
hands.
5 years to have a tight tuchus, and
Tuchus.
I can't get a booker to grab my penis. I'm a baby boomer,
That's oh
That's
yeah.
where I got my self-esteem.
Well, bookers are scummy people, so you probably maybe don't want their hands on your tuchus. And not all bookers. I've had to be a booker myself, but it's a lot of power for somebody who's not used to having power. Within the comedy world, comedians are all like, oh, the booker, that's where the shows are. And there's only 52, 56 weekends a year to get booked. So there are people that are awesome and have been working. Just do your research on which shows, find out causes. I love doing shows for causes and raising money. You're not going to make a lot of money in the beginning doing comedy. So if a show only pays $20 and you can find a show that's actually for a cause, maybe helping abused children or just anything, Susan Calmer, whatever, do the show for free and let that money get donated through, because it means a lot later. It means a lot later.
So for 7 years, I've been doing comedy for military and veterans alone by myself,
Yeah.
going into homeless shelters, VA hospitals, nursing homes.
Oh no, that's really good. There's a
Yeah.
place in Vegas that they do. I wish I could remember who's running the show, uh, but they do comedy in the underground systems of Las Vegas on a strip, and there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but maybe 1,000 homeless people living in these tunnels underneath Vegas, in a whole. It's like a whole city under there, and they do comedy shows for them.
If you figure out who those people are, will
I,
you
I
put
will.
them?
It's just a quick look into Instagram. I was just talking to him. I think his name's Dan, or it's a nice couple. I know that.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, oh, it's so fulfilling. I mean, in fact, the best gig I've ever played, and I've done everything, was I got to play Santa Claus for the women's shelter. So for the kids at the women's shelter, and for the terminally ill parents and children that were having their last Christmas. And man, you have not lived until you've gotten to be Santa. I mean, nobody's more famous than Santa. But you get in there and the kid get crying, and it's just such an emotional connecting experience. Um, it was amazing. Like, I still to this day, I must have been 19 years old when I did this. And it's still to this day, it is just the best feeling I've ever had from doing the show.
I was in the Army in 73.
Oh, goodness. I was in the Marines for 11 days in a row, in a row. Whether like 2 and 2 and 2, they were 11 hard days in a row. So,
The best thing about me going in the military was me getting out.
oh yeah, that's as Eric Knowles says, is the military is no place for a stand-up comedian.
Or a woman.
Right. And he look up Eric Knowles. He's one of the top veterans comics that does these veteran shows.
Oh, he just put me into the Veterans of Comedy.
Oh yeah, he's one of my best friends, and he is hysterical. Hysterical. We just did a show in Vegas called, it was Tom Baum's Psychedelic Comedy Show. And in this show, all the comedians have been given either mushrooms or acid, which I expected to just do a little. He did a show a month before mine, and then I did the one after him. But I got to watch his. They were on mushrooms, which is a very thinky, you get in your head and emotional. And he's up there. He's like, starts talking about his kids and he's crying.
I was in the audience that night with you.
Were you? Oh, that's right. Okay, I did that show the next month, and they gave me an orange gel cap acid, which I've never seen in my life. And I took it, and being the headliner, and you taking it at the beginning, I was peaking. I mean, fried. I was frying when I got on that stage. I came out, I had my coat on, like looking at everybody. And I did, it was probably one of the best shows I've ever done. I mean, I killed it. I couldn't tell you one joke. I don't even want to watch the video ever. But it was great. I'd never had a response like that. But whoa, you can't do that show. Maybe once a year you could do that show. I definitely don't want to be a regular on that one.
Remember how good Eric was that night? He just
all the comedians. It was the best show. When you're a comic, you know, you go to a show, and if you have to pay to get in, you feel like you're just donating, right? I'm donating to my friends. This show, I got my money's worth. I mean, every single penny. I begged the guy. I was like, please put me on the next month's show. I have to experience this. And man, that was amazing. It was such a great time. Luckily, I had my wife with me to make sure I was safe and didn't get in any trouble. But what a great time. Like, man, if you're in Vegas, see this show. Or he travels too. I know he goes to other cities, but that Vegas show was amazing. It was amazing. Extreme comedy, they call it.
What's that?
Extreme comedy, it's called.
Extreme Comedy Club. It's not very far from where I live.
That place is amazing. I would go watch that show every month and never be bored of it. The one guy was walking across the chairs, like surfing through the audience, yelling at people. The other guy brought all the chairs up on the stage and had the audience sitting up there with him.
I was up on the stage.
Or did you go up on the stage with him?
Yeah, I was on the far left.
Gosh, that was Jesse Ever was there. I remember sitting backwards on his chair. But that was a phenomenal show. Phenomenal. And it was small, 20, 25 people in the audience. It wasn't even a huge, but intimate, hysterical. Your tears are coming out of your face because you're laughing. It's such an unexpected laugh because it's just so different from anything you've ever seen.
It was so great. It was so great. I could not believe Eric Knowles sat there and he became so real. He was not putting on airs, and it was like a one-man show.
Yeah. And you know what? That was different is he had remember that big comfy chair he had to sit in?
Yes.
I had this tiny little bar stool that I was trying to float and balance on. And I was frying. Mushroom frying it's all visual and colors and everything's popping and you're excited. And it was just an insane experience. It was great.
Wow. You can probably tell if you can read people, you can probably tell that psychedelics aren't my superpower. I've never done them.
Oh, well, then how do you know if they're not your superpower if you've never done it? If you do anything, I recommend microdosing, which is a very tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of mushrooms, maybe enough for a capsule. And it won't trip you out of your mind. You'll still be able to function, but you'll feel good and you release. It's very great for depression or dealing with PTSDs. It just peels it away and just leaves the positivity out there for you.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a veteran with PTSD and brain trauma.
Oh, goodness.
How's it work with brain trauma?
I smoke marijuana, so I don't think there's any brain left to trauma. uh, but yeah, I would always consult with your spirit walker or whoever's in control of the mushrooms.
I got Tony Robbins on speed dial.
There you go. Oh, that would be a perfect person to trip with right there. Oh, you would feel great if you could stop staring at his teeth. His most beautiful giant teeth.
I recently got brand new teeth at the VA hospital for free.
I had fangs. So my dentist, Ches Valenzuela, out of Mexico. I have a veneer set, and these are elongated. I'll show you.
You've got incisors there.
Oh yeah. So in my theory, and this is great, women to exploit their femininity will enhance their breasts or their butts or their feminine qualities for attraction. And for a man, you would enhance your predatory traits, your muscles, your fangs, in my experience. And everybody I've come across loves them, and I'm very happy with them.
I love them.
My wife has little holes all over.
They brought out the samples of the different colors that you could have of teeth, I know.
Oh yeah.
This is a Fitbit, but for purposes of this.
Right. I was like, what the? Okay.
I just want to know I'm healthy.
Right. I use Pokemon Go. If you play Pokemon Go, it counts your steps and you win Charmanders.
And they wanted to know what color I wanted because I'm the expert. I should know. And I went from, hepatitis yellow teeth, and I wanted Jane Velez Mitchell white teeth, but hold the lesbian.
Right. That you could just put a little Vaseline on there, and then one day you might feel lesbian, the next day maybe not. You wipe it off. Interchangeable, like photo gray glasses.
I'm not afraid of what anybody else is, but for myself, I'm just saying I don't even wear transition lenses.
Oh, really?
Too much.
That's funny.
What do you want to accomplish in the rest of your life?
Honestly, I started doing this so my kids would have, maybe if I got my name a little popular, my kids would have an easier time through life, getting jobs, being able to drop dad's name. I'd like to have my book finished, which is my personal story. And I would like just to see my kids come to a point where they're self-sustaining and contributing to society, and then pull my ripcord and send me up. I'll be done.
That's so cool. That's really cool. What is it that you're most proud of to this point?
Making it through. There's a lot of people that start and drop out because it gets hard and you have to keep grinding. And I have grinded through hell and back to maintain where I'm at.
Thank you so much for your sacrifice.
Oh, I was only 11 days in the military.
But I mean, yeah, but you're still my GI spot.
Yeah, no, just you got to keep working. I went through divorces and custody battles. I was on stage the day my father passed away. You still got to get up there and you got to keep going and moving. You're not going to make the money you want. You still got to show up. You got to, that's what Jeff Peterson taught me in life. He used to be a good friend of mine, but you got to show up to blow up. So if you want something, you can't handpick what you're doing and where it is. That's why I have all these projects. Somebody comes up to me and they say, hey, we want to do a pro wrestling show. We have a couple, RVD and Godfather and all these great wrestlers, and let's put it together. So it's like, hey, let's do it. And we do it, and it becomes successful and you feel good. You've left that story, there, but you got to keep grinding. There's no such thing as, oh, I did this 3 years ago. No, what did you do yesterday? Because that's all that matters. And what are you doing tomorrow?
Yes, absolutely. Where can I put on the internet for people to follow you? I know
my Instagram's Medicinal Michael or Medicinal Mike. So I mean, anything that is Medicinal Mike, I show up on. There's some websites. There's all kinds of stuff. But Instagram is where I talk to people. And TikTok is awesome. And
are you Medicinal Mike on TikTok?
Yes, yeah, I'm Medicinal Mike on everything.
Okay, cool.
There's another Medicinal Mike, but he plays drums.
Oh, well, that's not medicinal.
It's a medicinal drum. But yeah, I've owned that moniker and worked under that for quite some time now. A lot of people will put medical, but medicinal as in the herb, the berry plant.
Wonderful.
And look up Nug Life Radio. Anything under Nug Life Radio.
Nug Life Radio.
Us. Yeah, we have Nug Life Radio, Nug Life Therapy, Nug Life this, Nug Life that. Nug Life Espanol by Benji Garcia Reyes.
Yes, I saw that on the thingamajig.
Yeah,
I like him.
He's the Spanish me. So anything I do, he does in Spanish, and we will back and forth and mimic and trade guests and whatever we're doing, we keep it so that we're covering that wider variety demographic.
Have you ever thought of the two of you being on stage at the same time and hiring?
Me and Benji all the time.
And hire Obama's African interpreter.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Or sign language. I'd love to see what I say looks like in sign language.
You're hilarious. I love you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll post everything onto this video, and if you'll make sure it gets shared everywhere you're at. And
a special shout out to my manager, Joanne Hulsey. Without her, I would not have been anything.
How do you spell that?
JoanneHulsey.
Got it.
Anybody looking to boost themselves up in the entertainment industry, in any field, contact her.
Wow, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Joanne Hulsey. You've done a marvelous job. You have good taste in picking somebody with quality.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on too. Very much.
Absolutely. You're welcome to come back anytime you want to promote something for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay.
I thought you were going to say for $5 to $10. That's totally worth it.
You have to bring 5 people and do it for 11 days in a row.
That's right. That's right. Because if you bring 4, it's going to be a great show. You're just not going to be in it. Thank you so much, Linda, for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so very much, Michael Boris.
Bye.
Bye.